And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, I'm going to do my NBA recap because there were a lot of games that happened, so I'm only going to talk about the important ones that ended up happening over the weekend and some of the biggest stories that happened. And we might as well just rip the Band-Aid off right now and talk about the Nets losing to the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, we really have nobody on the team that can stop Victor Wembanyama, or as I like to call him, Victor Wembananas. Like, the guy just goes absolutely insane, and he is the best rookie in the entire draft class. He is clearly going to win the Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to win it unanimously. But looking at the box scores, Victor Wembanyama ended the game with 33 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 7 blocks. 7 blocks. He's the first rookie since Tim Duncan to lead the NBA in blocks and record I believe it's 300 blocks in one season. He's the first rookie to do that since Tim Duncan. And obviously, since the All-Star break, he's averaged 4.6 blocks per game since All-Star break. That's almost 7. And this performance was also incredibly historic. He's the first player in NBA history with 30-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists, and 5-plus blocks while shooting 50% from the field in a game. Obviously, this is ESPN stat, cherry-picking a lot of the numbers, but still, being the first player to even do that is absolutely ridiculous. And, it really just shows how much of an alien Victor Wembanyama really is. He's unreal. And he already has more career blocks than 81% of the league, of NBA players right now. He is unreal, and his defense is also unreal. So, but is he going to win DPOY? Not entirely sure, because Rudy Gobert does bring the value to that Timberwolves team. But again, 4.6 blocks? Obviously, a lot of casuals are going to be he's 7'4", he should be getting all of those blocks. But no, that's not how it works. But I digress. Now, Cam Thomas, he did everything that he could for the Brooklyn Nets, ended the game with 31 points. Mikal Bridges, the podcast doesn't see me, but right now I am scratching my head and putting my hands directly over my face because did he fall off a cliff? What happened to him? Mikal Bridges, he used to be a 28 point per game scorer when he was on the Nets in the beginning, after the trade. And now, ever since then, he hasn't done anything. He has not been the star player that this team is expecting. He ended the game 5 of 16 with 14 points. And this kind of performance happens way more times now, especially under this new coach. I think they got to get rid of him. They have to get rid of this new coach, and they have to get rid of Mikal Bridges. I'm sorry, but Mikal Bridges playing under so many different coaches and in this system is not good enough for him, because he had to play for Phoenix's coach. Then he had to play for Steve Nash. Then Steve Nash got he didn't play for Steve Nash, excuse me. He had to play for Vaughn, right? And then after playing for Vaughn, now the Nets have a whole new coach that he has to learn how to play for. It's not something that's good enough for your mental capacity, and it's not something that's good enough to maintain long term. You cannot play with different coaches every single 3 months, because that's a new scheme that you're expected to learn, while at the same time still perform and be that number one option. But he's been far from it this year. But I digress, because we are going to run out of time if I continue ranting on this team. Now, the Bucks, they ended up beating the Suns without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Excuse me, what is wrong with my English? No Giannis, no problem. That's what I wanted to say. But Damian Lillard ended the game with 31 points and 16 assists. It seems that he plays a lot better without having Giannis on the court, and I don't understand why. But Bobby Portis also played well in this game. He also ended with 31 points and shot 5 of 5 from 3 and 13 of 20 from the field. Now, if I remember correctly, Bobby Portis, he got subbed in and the minute he got subbed in, he scored a quick 20 points in the very few minutes that he was subbed in. But this was obviously a very big win that the Bucks needed, and great overall team win in terms of box score performances. I mean, Bobby Portis, I'd mentioned him. Chris Middleton ended the game with 22 points. Yeah, remember him. Jay Crowder ended the game with 18 points. Malik Beasley ended the game with 17 points. Brook Lopez ended the game 4 of 8 from the field, 10 points. And everyone else did their part very well. Now, for the Suns, you could argue that they didn't do their job very well. Kevin Durant, 11 points, 4 of 10 from the field. Very nice. I mean, as a Nets fan, I love seeing him underperform, but that's just me. Again, Kevin Durant, as Paul Pierce was saying, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations like how Steph and LeBron have. So if he doesn't live up to those expectations now, if it's another second-round exit, I'm not even sure if he deserves to be in, the top 15. Maybe top 20, but, top 15? I don't know about that. But I digress. If you guys would like to hear, my top 10, top 15, and top 20 list, then I'll go ahead and give them to you, in a different segment if you guys would like that. Just let me know in the comments what you guys would want. Now, Bradley Beal ended the game with 28 points, 11 of 15 from the field. Very, very good. Grayson Allen ended the game with 25 points, 6 for 11 from 3, 8 for 14 from the field. Again, very, very good. Devin Booker, 23 points on 11 of 22. Not that good, just because, one more point compared to shots taken, I think you're doing more harm to your team than doing good. Even though he made 11 of them. That is 50%. I really feel like he could have ended up scoring a lot more points. I don't know. That's just me. That's how I look at it. You can look at it as a good game if you guys would like. I mean, I didn't say it's a bad game. I just think he definitely could have played a lot better. And not really much that needs to be said other than the fact that, they just let Bobby Portis come out of nowhere and hit 5 threes. That really shows how lackluster Phoenix's defense can be sometimes. But let's continue going on to, the rest of these important games. Now, the Celtics, it might not sound like an important game just because the Celtics, they blew out the Wizards 130-104, and it was an expected win. I'm highlighting this game because Sam Hauser ended the game with 30 points in 23 minutes. 23 minutes of ball, and he ended with 30 points. A role player doing that. And he ended the game 10 of 13 from 3. That is incredible. And, he only shot 3-pointers. He was a sniper this game. And obviously, this was a very big striking force to why this team was able to win the game in the end. There was no Jaylen Brown, and there was no Kristaps. So the fact that they were able to blow this team out, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's that impressive just because, they are the Wizards. I will say that the chemistry that they have with the rest of their players, even when the bench is in, is very, very impressive. That is the impressive part about all of this. The Orlando Magic ended up beating the Toronto Raptors. Orlando Magic. Love that song. But they ended up winning 111-96. Again, the Magic, they don't get that much coverage, so you probably didn't even know that they played a game yesterday. But they ended Paolo Banchero ended the game with 29 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. Extremely underrated rookie. Player. Extremely underrated player of this season. If the Magic go far in the playoffs, I expect a lot more media coverage coming in from them. I hope they go far in the playoffs. That would be really fun. And I can just keep on saying Orlando Magic every single time they win. And again, the Raptors, they didn't have Scotty Barnes, so I didn't really expect them to win. Not if they did have Scotty Barnes, though, definitely did expect them to win. I talked about the Miami Heat beating the Detroit Pistons off the game winner, that Bam Adebayo shot. He was, like, really far from the three-point line, by the way. It was a very deep three. But regardless, like, again, like, Cade Cunningham needs to be a lot more aware of time management. He needs to be more aware of what to do in these kinds of situations, because I believe he could have held the ball, and by him holding the ball, they would have still been tied, and they could have saved it for the last shot, maybe even get a better shot. But no, he settled for the three-pointer. Not a bad shot, not saying it was a bad shot, but look at the results. And as the star player and, like, as the most important player on the team, you sort of have to do everything in your power to prevent your team from getting stuck in those kinds of situations. Like, one end of it is, like, hit the damn shot. That makes sense. But the other end of it is also protect the ball and save it for the very last shot, because you're going to go into overtime anyway. But maybe he didn't want to play in overtime. Who knows? But I digress. Going more into, like, the games that happened over the weekend. The Brooklyn Nets, they lost to the Pacers on Saturday. I mean, I fully expected them to lose in this game, because the Pacers, they are a unit on the offensive side of the ball, and our defense is incredibly lazy and is very weak, especially when Cam Thomas is in the starting lineup. So, I did not have any hopes going into that game whatsoever. Halliburton ended the game with 14 points and 4 assists and 7 rebounds. He did come off an injury, but I really do think that the in-season tournament, I keep calling it the play-in tournament on accident, my bad. I really think that this in-season tournament has skewed the minds of a lot of these players. Not players, but a lot of the fans when looking at these players, because Halliburton was getting talked about as being a better point guard than Trae Young, and I simply do not agree with that. I think that is incredibly disrespectful to everything that Trae Young has done in the NBA and everything that he's doing right now. Like, I do understand that he's injured and whatnot, but he is not worse than Tyrese Halliburton. Not in my opinion. You guys can have your own opinion on him, but seriously, tell me, what does Halliburton do better than Trae Young? Aside from passing. And even then, with the passing, they're neck and neck, because he's only averaging like 0.5 more assists than Trae Young. And Trae Young is averaging like 5 or 8 more points than Tyrese Halliburton. So he gives you the passing and he gives you the scoring production. What makes Tyrese Halliburton so much better? I don't know. And I'm really stumped with that, and I don't understand, like, what the fans' logic is behind that, other than, like, he's not Trae Young. I really don't. But I digress. The Knicks, they played against the Kings. This was a very big win for the Knicks. I mean, not a lot of scoring, 98-91. But when you have defense like that, again, this is a team, the Knicks are a team that really value the defense. And their defense ends up winning them their games, because Brunson is going to score. He ended the game with 42 points. He is going to find a way to score. It's the fact that the team is able to keep the scoring low, so that way only he has to worry about scoring. That's really an impressive factor. And this is why I think that the Knicks are going to end up going far into the postseason, because of this, because of their paying their attention to defense, and their the fact that they want to play defense. And, like, because that's a thing. Like, teams, they might play good defense, but they might not want to play defense as much as they want to play offense. And teams that sort of value the defense end up going a lot farther in the postseason than teams that value offense. Because sometimes you miss all your shots. We are human. It's totally expected for us to miss shots. And one thing that a lot of people just don't really understand is how valuable, like, defense is, and how consistent it is, because defense is always going to be a lot more consistent than your offense. Your defense is always going to be more consistent than your offense. There's no metric that it can tell you otherwise, because when you're on defense, the only thing you have to do really is stay in front of the person who has the ball, or stay in front of your defender. That is the only thing you have to do, and you can watch film to get you better at that. The offense has to learn how to adapt to that defense, and you need to have a lot of these players. They need to have a bag or something that they can always rely on, and they have to be consistent with it. If they're not consistent with it, then their team ends up losing, and that's a lot of pressure that is put on a lot of these scorers. It might seem that scoring has become a lot more consistent, but it's a lot more so that the defense has become a lot more lazy going into this modern NBA thing. And it's just how the game is, because a lot of players, they're focusing on the offense because, you need to shoot threes, you need to get more buckets. But other than that, there weren't really that many more important games that need to be talked about, or games that had an outcome that I didn't really expect, and other teams that I just didn't really need to talk about. I mean, Cleveland going up against Houston, the Houston Rockets, they ended up winning this game. Jalen Green ended up putting on a show, 26 points and 11 rebounds. And the Timberwolves ended up going up against the Jazz yet again. And again, not really much that needs to be talked about with NBA basketball. Going into later on in this month with March, don't expect there to be a lot of talk with NBA basketball. I think the shift is going to focus over to college basketball because of March Madness. So get ready for a lot of talks about March Madness. I will still keep talking about NBA basketball a little bit more as the month progresses, because after March Madness there's going to be playoffs for NBA basketball. But still, the focus is probably going to be college for a little bit. And with that is the end of the show segment. I have no more games that I really need to cover, and that's it and I'm running out of time. So thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so if you like this episode, please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as always, please remember to use the link displayed below the ticker on every single show. Oops, wrong one. Please remember to use the link on the ticker that is displayed below every single show segment, and is in the link in the description below. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. And that's the end of the show. I am your host, Nelson. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day. And as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.